Shut up and sit down.
Hello, this evening we have got the wonderful Dom Burgess with us. Very creative man we have here. He's got a scriptwriter, stand-up comic, writer for BBC on radio and TV. Is that right as well?
Yep, yep, that's it.
Fantastic.
Yeah,
Tell us a little bit more about what you do, Dom.
yeah, it's a mixed bag, like you say. Really, I mean, I would probably, as an encompassing term, writer probably is the best one. It's what I think of myself as, and probably always will. So
Yeah.
I've, as you say, I've been taking up stand up the past few months since the start of the year, and that was really just to try and open up a few more avenues with the writing. Where I feel a bit like you can, if you write stuff but you don't perform it, you're a bit more limited with your
Yeah.
impact and your kind of getting it out there. So it was an attempt to, yeah, maybe meet a few people and collaborate.
Yeah.
But I think I'll always think of myself primarily as a writer, just because it's something I've always wanted to do. It's my big passion in life,
Yeah.
and within that, it's kind of probably my favorite thing is comedy script writing. So if I had my one dream project, it would be to be head writer on a sitcom, or to have my own sitcom on TV. I think
Yeah,
that's
absolutely. That's a really good dream to have as well, though. But I understand what you're saying about being a writer performer. That seems to open a lot more doors, I've noticed. Just with going back to writing a sitcom,
yeah,
there's been quite a few people that were stand-ups and actually have gone on to write or been invited to
definitely.
write sitcom. So I think that's a really good move. And like you say, you can collaborate with other people that you network with. But going back to the first time you stood on stage, I asked this to most of the comedians that I talked to. How did you find that? And what made you go, right, today is the day, I'm going to do it?
I did a comedy course at the Frog and Bucket, which was
Oh, right,
I
yeah.
think for me was a. I'm not sure it works for everyone, but I think for me it was a fantastic decision because it was kind of an exercise in taking someone with no stage experience and n- not lacking natural affinity, but just not something I would have ever had any, you know, yeah, anything remotely similar.
Yeah,
And
yeah.
to go from that to actually being up on stage performing comedy
Mm.
was it was more like it was kind of a bit of a boot camp feeling, I suppose,
Yeah.
almost like going into the army or something and getting like ship shape for the stage. But even within that, I did. So we in those workshops we spent a lot of time getting used to standing up, talking, delivering material. Luckily for me, I had a lot of the material written already I've been writing constantly, and
Yeah.
I will always be turning out lots of material. But the kind of well, this is I have a few markers along the way, so this might actually answer your question. Is that when I first started performing on stage, I used to not wear my glasses on
Mm.
purpose on stage so that I couldn't see the audience because I was too scared to see the looks on people's faces. And and similarly, I have a bit of a tremor normally, but obviously it gets a bit worse when I'm nervous. And
Yeah.
so for the first sort of 2 or 3 months, I wouldn't take the microphone out of the stand because again, I felt like I was kind of shaking it a lot. But now I'm glasses on and perfectly happy holding the mic. So
Yeah.
I think you kind of the more you do something, the more
That's
you.
it, isn't it? It's having the experience, and every time you do it, it's like another one under your belt. Yeah, that's I've done it again. I've managed to walk out again,
Yeah.
and now I'm going to pick the microphone up, and now I'm going to be able to do it with glasses on. I get that, I really do. Now, you did work or write for Newsjack as well, haven't you?
Yes.
And that's
Yeah.
obviously a lot of gag writing. So, do you think that's helped you with stand up? You say about you having written a lot of material already.
I think so. I think I'm maybe it's a personality thing or maybe it's a professional thing, but I think I'm someone who always tries to see the funny in situations.
Yeah.
So I'm constantly mining. Either, you know, I'll be on the tram to work and I'll be writing. I'll be walking
Yeah.
somewhere and I'll be writing in my head, going over ideas and things and everything. I think, but I think the what the previous writing practice has done has made it quite automatic. So
Yeah.
I don't think I have to ever purposefully sit down and
Mm.
write, or I would if I wanted to, you know, polish something up. But
Yeah.
I think I know some people have to put a bit of time aside, whereas I think I'm
Yeah.
probably just doing it a lot of the time
Yeah, so
anyway.
it becomes
Um,
rote for you in respect of the discipline of writing.
yeah,
You're
I
doing
think
it as you're
yeah,
walking, like you say. So, I
but
mean,
also, yeah, but also I really enjoy it, and I think that
yeah,
that's one of the things is that it never feels like that bit of it doesn't feel like work. That
yeah,
feels more like a hobby or just something that you
yeah,
know, the satisfaction of coming up with a good joke or
yeah.
thinking, you know, I was at I suppose it's a blessing and a curse because I was watching the Superman film last night and you're sort of half watching it and half, you know, thinking, well, so as a bald man, I was looking at Lex Luthor and thinking, right, how can I turn this into material? So yeah, I'm kind of like, um,
So you're basically on duty all the time.
I think
Are
so.
you difficult to live with because of that?
I think so. Well, this is the other thing about you know, watching films and TV shows because I did a script writing MA as well, which
Yeah, I was
was
going to talk to you about that. Yeah.
yeah, yeah. So that was a lot about the mechanics of putting together a story
Mm.
and a script, and that probably does make me quite annoying because I'll sort of say, okay, you know, this is the bit where the plot turns, or this
Yeah.
is the point of the story. And my wife's like, can we just
I,
watch the film,
I know
please?
what you're saying because yeah, that's the same in our house, and I often get, oh, I'm not watching telly with you anymore because I'll well, they didn't do this or they should have maybe done
Yeah,
that. But yeah, you said about the MA course. Obviously, that is an incredible thing to do as a discipline for writing. So obviously, you're already disciplined anyway in your writing practice. What did you find that you took away? The most out of doing an MA? Because it covered TV and radio, didn't it?
yeah, yeah. It was. I think absolutely the best thing I learned from that was story structure.
Mm-hmm.
Well, two things really was story structure as in um, the sort of how you sequence a story from. I mean, it sounds very simple when you relay it back as a beginning, middle, and end,
Yeah,
but most stories follow a very similar pattern, and I think it you don't have to understand it, but I think when you do, it really helps to
yeah,
then improve your own writing because you can kind of I can kind of much better see when I write a script
mm,
there's something wrong with it, and I
mm,
can you can sort of diagnose it a bit better when
yeah,
you understand, you know,
yeah,
how it's there's too much setup and it
yeah, yeah,
or it kind of rushes the climax and you're not giving time to develop. So that kind of thing is good. And then also I think and this is useful complement to that is that I could sometimes be a little bit mechanical with my writing. So and I
mm,
think I realized doing that course that it's em emotional states of characters and how they change is really
yeah,
at the root of every story.
yeah,
And I think once I kind of understood that a bit better, then I was a bit better able to think, well, it's not worth telling a story unless it's
yeah,
important enough to tell. And the reason you know that is if the
yeah,
person who you're writing about is going through
mm,
a significant enough event
yeah.
to sort of drive the story. So yeah,
Were you writing scripts before you did that MA? And
yeah,
did you go back and look at your prior work and think, actually, I can make this, I can really improve it, I can see where I've gone wrong previously.
yeah.
Did it help you massively with that?
It definitely did. I think I tend to be a little bit always move on to the next thing.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
just as a person, I think probably didn't revisit loads of old things, or maybe I would take the basic idea of something and then start again with it rather than try and
yeah, tweak something.
unpick it, yeah, or
Yeah,
polish it up. It would probably be more like, okay, there was something good there, but now I understand a bit better how to tell that story or how
yeah,
to make this work.
yeah,
Um, so, but I think it was certainly a feeling of, okay, I can see what was working about this, which is maybe just my own
yeah,
kind of natural ability, and then what wasn't working about this, which was probably just a lack of understanding
Yeah, yeah. Oh,
how
so that's
things.
brilliant that you've been able to use that. Because I mean, anybody that was maybe thinking, is it worth doing a course, especially an MA in script writing, it clearly is then, because it makes you
Yeah,
really go back to basics, almost taking it back to a skeletal situation where you can build the structure and the story. So
yeah, yeah,
I think it
definitely.
sounds fantastic. And the fact that
Yeah,
you've been able to recognize that from your previous work, I think that's great.
yeah.
And
I was
moving on.
I just sorry, I just want to say
No,
that
no.
I did it as a night course alongside work, but I was still
Yeah.
quite fortunate to be in a situation where I could do that, because I know
Yeah.
these courses are quite expensive, and
Yeah.
I wouldn't want anyone to think that the cost would put you at a disadvantage, because there's lots you can learn on
Yeah.
free courses and
Yeah,
things
yeah,
online
yeah,
as well.
absolutely,
Um,
absolutely. But to have even doing it as a night course, I mean, fair play to you to have a full day at work and then to do that as well, and to do all the work that you have to do to
yeah,
submit, I mean
it,
but then like you say,
that's
it's a joy. If you
yeah,
enjoy writing and you think of yourself as a writer, you don't see that as being work as such,
yeah, exactly, yeah,
it's just something that flows, isn't it?
yeah,
And
absolutely.
did it open doors for you? Did it sort of make you go, right, this is what I want to do. I am a writer. I'm going to really full time go for this.
Um, Yes and no. So I don't work full time as a writer.
No.
I should have said that. I never have done,
Mm,
unfortunately. I've never quite built up quite
mm.
enough momentum or quite
Yeah.
enough kind of credits.
And it's a difficult world to
Yeah,
break, isn't it? Let's be honest.
yeah, definitely. Yeah, I found a bit of a catch-22 where if you don't have an agent, it's hard to get
Yeah.
work, but you can't get an agent without a certain amount of
Yeah. Yeah.
credited work. But I think a lot of people are probably in that same
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah,
as
definitely.
well.
And, especially as the big channels as well won't touch you unless you go through a production company. And obviously we're seeing production companies reducing what
Yeah.
they're doing financially, completely understand it all. So it is a real catch-22, as you say. So what happened after your course? What did you do next?
It was writing spec scripts, so you put together a script and
Mm,
you'd sort of I would send them off to either competitions or initiatives or
yeah,
just to companies, and I suppose in parallel to that, I suppose I was doing a few things at the same time. So I did some short plays for which I had on stage in Manchester, and it's mostly just open door
yeah,
submission type stuff, and that was really nice because it was. You know, similar to the stand up, really, you got to actually see,
yeah,
your efforts kind of
yeah.
up
No,
there.
that's right. Yeah, yeah,
And then I did some of the comedy stuff, so the radio
yeah,
things, which again would tended to be open door submissions for things like Newsjack or
yeah.
sketch shows as well. So a couple of sketches and things.
They count as credits, don't they? I mean that would you have
Yes,
got
yeah,
credits to your name, so
yeah,
it's a great way to go, isn't it, via
yeah,
radio?
yeah, yeah. No, definitely, yeah, and because then when the more you get into it, the more there are other initiatives where you need to be able to evidence
Yeah,
your work through credited work.
yeah,
So then it does become quite helpful to have that
yeah,
later on.
yeah.
Um, I wrote a rom-com screenplay, and that one was slightly random turn of events where if there was a woman called Emmy McMorrow who owned her own sort of indie studio.
Yeah,
She's an actress and writer herself,
yeah,
and had this project that she didn't have time to kind of rewrite. So it was looking for someone to come on board,
yeah,
and she just happens to be from. I think I read about her in a local newspaper or something. She happens to be from Stockport where I am, and we got in touch with her, and then I worked on a few sort of drafts of that screenplay, and we got
yeah,
it to a very good state. But unfortunately, like a lot of projects, we
yeah.
just couldn't get the funding for it. But
Yeah, but it's another string to your bow. It's another lot of
yeah,
experience as well, because that's another thing altogether, isn't it? It's taking and rewriting
yeah.
somebody else's sort of vision, as it
Uh,
were. How
I
did you
don't,
find that? Because obviously, as a writer yourself, you see it in your head. How did you find seeing somebody else's vision?
yeah, I think that's something I couldn't have done without doing the MA, because it
Oh,
was
right, okay.
a case of understanding
Mm,
um, which bits of this were which bits of this would be kept for
yeah,
this to tell the story, which bits of it I could introduce my own sort of version. And actually, it went through so many drafts that it kind of changed quite a lot anyway.
Yeah.
But I don't think I'd have been able to approach it in the first place without
Mm.
being able to look and think what kind of it's almost like running bolts through it to give it just a
Yeah.
little bit of solidity and then building on
Yeah.
top.
Yeah.
And yeah. So yeah, but that was a very positive experience, even though it didn't get made, but it was optioned, so that's
Yeah.
another kind of credits, kind of
Yeah, it is. It
formal
is.
a bit of work, and
And obviously a confidence boost for you as well,
exactly,
because it's been optioned. And, you know, I mean, that's almost the holy grail in itself, isn't it? Is to actually get an option on something.
and you go through that kind of development
Yeah,
process, get a bit of an
absolutely.
insight of that as well. So
Yeah. Yeah.
and then but I also, through my day job, had an opportunity to write for children's BBC a little bit as well. So I wrote, this is my career highlight, really. It probably always will. It might always be my career highlight, was writing for Mr. Tumble's sitcom. Yeah, when if you ever want to be a celebrity amongst like 4-year-old children and their
Yeah.
parents, then write for Mr. Tumble because it'll get you more acclaim than doing any amount of stand-up ever will. But that was really nice. That was again, it was great to have a formal TV credit,
Yeah.
obviously, but it was as useful to know what that process is like of taking something from
Yeah.
pitching an idea to
Yeah.
developing the sort of story outline,
Yeah.
to writing it up into the script and going from there. And yeah, it's kind of even though it's a kids program, it
But
still
you
has a kind of
you say it's just a kids program. I mean, kids TV is massive. It's
oh
so
yeah,
big. So to be able to say, oh, actually, because it's not just that you've got a credit for. You've got a credit for the sketch show as well, the teenage
yeah,
sketch.
yeah.
The name escapes me. Amelia
Really guessing that one
Amelia
was.
Gething. That's it. So you've written for that TV program as
Yes,
well.
yeah. Again, that was uh, yeah, using a couple of contacts through work
Yeah.
to kind of
Yeah.
approach them about chipping in with some material on that. And but yeah, and I didn't. I'm being a bit kind of bit cheeky and flippant, but I love kids TV, and I actually think it always has been, and it is now one of the places where you can actually have a bit of freedom to experiment and a bit of freedom to let your imagination run wild
Yeah,
compared to
you're
adult
right.
TV, which can sometimes be a bit.
Yeah, absolutely. It's not so prescriptive, is it, in that respect?
Mm.
And funny enough, you're talking about freedom. I was going to ask you, but because you've actually done writing in so many different mediums, which is your preferred one out of all of them? I know
It
that
would,
you've said children's gives you a bit
yeah.
more freedom, but is there any other medium that you prefer?
I'd love to work on an animated sitcom. I think not necessarily for kids, but something more for families, like The
Yeah,
Simpsons,
yeah,
or something that's in that kind of. Or if it's for kids, then slightly older,
yeah,
rather so not preschool, but somewhere where
yeah.
you might. But yeah, I think I love animation. I love watching animation, and I love
Mm.
what you can do with it, and
Yeah,
it's again freedom. The freedom it lets you do. Been lucky enough to again in the day job commission some animation for I make online learning materials, so
yeah,
I've been able to kind of see that process of yeah, making an animated thing from start to
yeah.
finish as well. So yeah,
So that's obviously day job gives you a lot of networking opportunities, but a lot of experience as well to see all these different mediums
yes,
being
yeah,
used, especially in that environment. Um, I mean, do you see yourself, would you like to sort of carry on in that field and then just dabble on the side, or do you feel there is progression to come away from that?
yeah. I think my game plan is still eventually to work
Mm.
full time as a writer.
Yeah,
Would be my ideal, or maybe a performer writer.
yeah,
I think if I've tried to do this exercise a couple of times of imagining what would be my kind of happy day to day, I think it would be working on a. I don't think I'd necessarily enjoy the isolation of working completely on my own, but being
Yeah,
in a writer's room or on a team of writers
yeah, yeah. Because
or collaborating with people.
it is an
Yeah.
isolating thing, isn't it? Writing. It
Yes.
is
Yeah,
very
definitely.
insular and what have you. So I can completely get why you decided to do the performing as a stand-up writer, with your writing your
Yeah.
material for that, because you then do get access to other comedians. So, and just to have that banter with them.
Oh,
And I know that you can do that through online forums and stuff, but it's not the same, is it? It's either being in a writer's room with other creatives and you burn off each other, or like you say, stand up
well,
and
yeah,
networking.
the
Um,
community with stand up is one of my things
it's
about it I've enjoyed the most. In fact, there's times when I'm kind of like I'm enjoying the night so much. I'm like, oh no, I have to get up and God, I have to get up and perform. I was quite happy just chatting with my mates and watching some other people.
have you got anything coming up at all?
Um, I've been mostly doing open mic nights and
Mhm.
things, so I've just tried to stay quite regular around Manchester, and
Yeah.
um,
There's a
I'm
big
trying to.
scene in Manchester, though, isn't there? Big
Yeah,
comedy
there's
scene in Manchester.
stuff happening pretty much every night. You really
Yeah.
have to kind of struggle to find opportunities to kind of get up and do a bit, and
Yeah.
I'm trying to branch out a little bit. So I like to go to. I'm going over to Sheffield this week. I'd like to go to Liverpool,
Yeah.
Leeds, York, and the places that I've
Yeah.
written
Yeah.
to
Yeah.
kind of broaden my.
A nice circuit there. Have you got a favourite venue? A favourite venue so far?
Um, I mean, because I did that comedy course at the Frog and Bucket,
Yeah.
that's such a good place anyway, and
Yeah.
it's somewhere that I used to go when I was younger. So that one's, and we finished the course with a showcase performance on the stage there. So it was amazing to get to
Yeah.
do 5 minutes on that stage where so many famous people have
Yeah,
performed.
exactly. Because it's
Yeah.
so well known, isn't it? I mean, Frog and Bucket. I mean, it's like it's the place, really, isn't it?
Yeah. And then
Um,
there's a couple of open mics. One's called Costa del Salford, which is in a pub called the Old Pint Pot in just over the river and over the border in Salford.
yeah.
Um, I love that one because for a couple of reasons. One, because I used to live just over the road, so it's nice and nostalgic every time I go back. But Phil, who runs that, he does a fantastic job of running that, like a kind of a proper gig with a stage and sound system and lights. So
Yeah.
it's a free
Yeah.
entry one. A lot of
Oh
Northern
wow.
it goes
Yeah.
into it. And then there's one called Smiley in Chorlton, which is once a month. That one, Hannah is the name of the MC there. She's absolutely fantastic and creates such a good atmosphere. And it's somewhere where I always know I'll go and have a good evening and a good
Yeah.
time. So
Yeah.
I'd say they're probably my favourites. But there's I've been really um, impressed and sort of pleasantly surprised just how much there is going on, how many good nights there are, how many good people there are,
Yeah.
and just what a nice kind of scene it
It's
is to be
It
involved.
is. It's a real community, isn't it? And it's great that you're part of that and being able to put your writing out there. Now, if anybody wants to follow you and where can they find you and maybe find out some about some of your open mic
Yeah,
nights that you're doing, where can
I've
they find you?
had to learn how to do social media finally after resisting for so many years. But Dom Burgess comedy on Instagram is probably the best place.
Right,
I've
okay, okay. Well,
posted a few clips and things there. So yeah,
brilliant.
I'd say that's the one.
Okay, what I'll do is I'll put that underneath the this
Thank you.
video, and obviously people can tap into you. Well, Dom, sorry it's a short and quick one, but it was
Oh
great
no,
to
it's
catch up
been
with you,
fantastic. Yeah.
and all the best with everything you're doing, and keep us posted because obviously we'll have you back on, find out what else you're doing because it's brilliant. You really are doing so much stuff, and just keep writing and keep enjoying it. And it's been an absolute pleasure. Thank you
Oh,
so
thanks for
much for
having me.
chatting.
Love
All
chatting to
right,
you.
and we'll
Cheers.
speak to you very soon. All right then. Bye.
Bye.